Hey, this is Joe Van, and I'm going to be talking about the movie Ad Astra, directed by James Gray and starring Brad Pitt. And when I say talk about, I think what I really mean is I'm going to spoil the hell out of it so that I can talk about inconsistencies in the plot and general logic. So let's see how this goes. This is going to be a first video doing this. So Ad Astra, I think overall is a really good movie. I essentially loved it up until the end, but I'll give you guys a super spoiler rundown now if everyone's ready, if I've said spoiler enough times that you can click away from the video if you haven't seen it. So, Brad Pitt plays an astronaut who his father is very famous for going out to the outer reaches of the solar system with a small team in order to try and get a better visual or signal into the outer reaches of space to try and find life out there, intelligent life. I don't know why you wouldn't just send a Hubble telescope out to Neptune in order to try and detect something. I don't know why it has to be manned, but hey, it's movie logic, totally fine. So it goes to 30 years later, so clearly he just never came back. Brad Pitt's all alone. He's working the same kind of job his dad was doing until all of a sudden something called the surge comes. And it's just this, I'm assuming it's just a huge EMP blast, and it knocks out electronics, it's killing people, obviously life support, or if you're in like an airplane that's like electronic only, I have no idea. But it's apparently killing like tens of thousands of people, and the stronger it gets, the more deadly it will become, because it keeps coming in waves. So obviously the intelligence agency has got to try and find out what this is and stop it. So the surge is a very, at first, weak plot element, but maybe, you find out it's something more important later, but it's very basic, and it only exists as a vehicle to get the plot going, to get the main character started on his adventure. So from there, Brad Pitt goes off to Mars because it's closer to Neptune to try and send out a signal, because the intelligence agencies of America or what have you think that this surge is coming from an antimatter device that was on the spacecraft that Brad Pitt's dad, Tommy Lee Jones, and his crew was on. That's all we know at this point, is that it could be them, and whether it's an accident or on purpose, they have to try and get in contact with them and stop this from happening, this surge. So Brad Pitt goes off. Goes first to the moon, where he will then launch to Mars, and on the way there are many misadventures that happen. There's pirates on the moon, because obviously it's like international borders or something, so there's pirates everywhere trying to steal your resources. So he gets in a kerfuffle, and then he goes into space, where they come across a satellite that was hit with the surge, and there was a distress signal sent out. And they go in there only to be attacked by a baboon, and that was one of the craziest space sequences I've ever seen. It was amazing. I didn't expect it. It was nuts. I mean, I guess they said that they worked with animals, but I wasn't expecting that. And then they get to Mars. Another surge happens. They almost don't make it, but they land safely. Brad Pitt starts sending out a message to his father, hoping that he'll reach them so that they can triangulate his position, right? But he doesn't know what they're going to do after that. So later he finds out they're going to be sending missiles to blow him up. He's angry about that, and they're like, you're not going, you're staying here, you're going back to Earth or whatever. And he doesn't like that, so he teams up with this lady whose parents were also on the space shuttle, satellite, what have you, with Tommy Lee Jones. And she's basically says, your dad killed my parents, he went crazy, so now it's your responsibility to go up there and stop your dad. And he says, yeah, let's do it. So he goes, he sneaks onto the shuttle that's heading off with the bomb on it, and he gets there. This exists thematically in the movie, because it's all about like father like son kind of thing, where he's very estranged to his dad, and he has a lot of issues because of it. And this sequence, I guess, exists to try and draw parallels between him and his father, so he finds out that his dad killed his crewmates. It hit the vacuum seal on him and killed him. And so he sneaks onto a spacecraft with the people that he had traveled with to get to Mars. So he knows them at this point, and they're like, hey, you're not allowed here. And then they get like reports. They're like, oh, Brad Pitt's on the spaceship, kill him. And so they like pull out guns and they're gonna kill him. like super willy-nilly without even saying like, wait, why are we gonna kill him? Why don't we kick him out or something? Who knows? But they're just like, okay, now we're gonna kill you. And he's like, oh no. And then this, so like they unbuckle to kill him, and then the spacecraft launches, and the person with a gun goes flying into a window and like cracks her head. The air gets sucked out, but Brad Pitt is like wearing a full space suit, but nobody else is, so they all just die by accident. But I guess it's supposed to be like father like son, like he accidentally killed his crewmates. I don't know. That happens, and then he goes on this very long mission, farther than anyone's ever been, except for his father and that crew. Except he goes alone, and he, you know, is suffering with the isolation. But eventually, after I think it was like 79 days, he gets to Neptune, and so now he's going to confront his father, and he confronts his father. For me personally, was extremely underwhelming. There were no revelations. Like, his dad is supposed to be crazy, but he's acting like he's just sort of obsessed with his work, but otherwise he's fine, you know, except for the fact that he's been on this station, like, alone for so long. For the sake of the movie, it's like, okay, it's not about the logistics of what it'd be like to be alone in space for years and growing out your beard and somehow you still have life support and all that kind of stuff. It seemed like it was drawn very heavy on the aspect of the interpersonal relationship between father and son, and how the dad's like a dick, but the son forgives him because he wants to be better than him. And then Tommy Lee Jones begins to tell him that he's been out there all this time looking for life among the stars, looking for habitable planets, and all he's got so far is just nothing. Just dead planets. And like amazing pictures of planets, but all the planets are lifeless with no atmosphere. I don't know, that part just kind of irked me. Like it gave me like this kind of vibe that the movie was sort of taking a Christian approach to the aspect of outer space and life, because they believe that the story of Adam and Eve that God made is only applicable to planet Earth and to humans. So the concept that aliens must be out there is just too ridiculous, or it simply doesn't exist because we're supposed to be the center of the universe, as far as the aspect of, like, you know, God created us in his image and all that kind of stuff. So the idea that there could be life out there is ridiculous. There isn't. Space is empty. We're the only things that exist. Go us. It's basically like, you know, like religion was written by people thousands of years ago that didn't understand what space was, you know? I mean, I guess they knew what stars were, but that was about it. At this point now, because we've been searching for exoplanets for however many years, like I don't know if it's in the decades or if we've only been doing it since like 2003 or something, but I mean, we have found tons and tons and tons of close to Earth-sized planets, orbital bodies, what have you, that are in the Goldilocks zone of all of these star systems. I mean, you know, you put the math together and there's countless of planets that surely have an atmosphere. Just from that aspect alone, it was kind of unbelievable to think there is no life out there at all, like not even an atmosphere on a planet. Like it's just all of space is barren except for Earth. And that's part of like the message of the movie, is that don't try and look for life outside, you know, look for relationships. Like don't look outward, look inward. I don't know, something like that. I mean, I don't want to like hit on the movie too much because I really do enjoy the majority of the movie, right? Plot driver was weak, but it was like Hollywood style. It was good enough just to get the action going, and going to each planet with the color theme of each one. The moon being very stale white, and then Mars being very deep red, and then Neptune being dark blue, and everything I thought was amazing. And it's similar to James Gray's earlier work, The Lost City of Zed, which I absolutely loved, that had the similar theme of exploration and father and son relationships. So, except obviously now it's being told in a much grander way and sort of from the perspective of the son rather than the father. And I feel like they finished that off very poorly. Tommy Lee Jones literally just commits suicide, like almost kills his son. He's like, let me go. And then so he unclips him and then he goes flying off into space to die. It's super, I don't know, like everything else about it was good. I mean, even him saying like, I abandon you because you're not worth me fathering you. It's like that was like super strong and potent, and then they just end with him being like, oh, we could have done great things together, and then he like tries to kill himself, and then he does it. I feel like it's trying to echo some sort of Greek mythology kind of thing, where the Forsaken Father is out there and the son goes looking for him, and then turns out that he's like, you know, instead of him being a god, he's a monster or something. I don't know. But either way, I enjoyed the movie enough. I loved the middle part and everything, right? So it's like I still recommend the movie to people who could handle the slow pace of it. But yeah. All in all, I rated it on my letterbox. I got it as a 3 to 5 stars. So with that, I leave it to you guys. Obviously, if you've seen the movie, let me know. Comment, like, do whatever you want to do. But either way, hope you guys liked me talking about this movie, and I will see you next time.